Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Today we're going to have a look at Fedora 43 on the Gnome edition. And I went ahead and downloaded this and got it installed on my real hardware for testing. Of course, the About system has the wrong disk capacity information. It is telling me over there that this is a 1 terabyte disk capacity. That would be an error. The one over here on Fast Fetch is correct. This is it says 29. It's a 32 gigabyte disk is what we are using over here. So I'm not sure what's going on with the About over there. The processor is right. Everything else there is right. And we are having a look at this particular build. So I want to start actually by just having a look at the tour. And so when you start in here, we have basically the overview shows the apps and the windows. Press the super Windows key to open it up. So there is your Windows key there. So that'll show you your available workspaces. And I'm going to test if that will show us workspace differences by moving that. I'm just going to move that to another workspace there. All right. So yeah, this will show us our workspaces up here. And it'll show us what we have open and things like that. As far as you have a powerful search, you can just, to search, just start typing in the overview. So go up to your overview. So if I want to search for like Firefox or something like that, it took me all day to get Blue Recorder installed, but I did. But we're actually recording this on the other computer on OBS. Not the way I prefer to record these, but hey, it will solve that pesky issue I've been having testing Bluetooth lately. So there you go. But the search function also inside of the Gnome settings, you can set what is in there. So if I search for something that is not installed, for example, it will give me the option to install it as well. Unless, of course, I turn that off. The workspaces there, we've just looked at the workspaces already. Of course, if you are new to Gnome, learning the keyboard commands is a very useful thing that you can do. Since I use Gnome on Tails and a few other distributions here and there, I am very proficient with it, although it's just not my cup of tea. I actually kind of hate it. But anyway, that's another thing. Since we are actually on a laptop here, I can show you this. I mentioned this when I first looked at the gesture changes a couple years ago, but I didn't have a laptop that I was running test builds on. This one I do. So if you just grab, you got to do 3 fingers. You can go all the way up and all the way down. So this first one gets you there. Oh yeah, look at that. That's the annoying crap. Okay, support Gnome. F you, Gnome. No. We talked about that very briefly. Brand new feature in Gnome. They're giving to give you nag strings. They're borrowing from Windows. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, we're getting nagged to donate. F you, Gnome. Especially since you think I should die because I'm a conservative. But anyway, well, whatever. So we'll go ahead and roll this all the way up, and you can see all of our applications are there. You can see all of our screens are over here. You can see our search feature, things like that. So there you have it. You can do that. And the other thing, though, that you can do is you can gesture sideways to go to your different workspaces. So making it very nice and easy. I do like those features. That is new. First time I was able to actually feature that. That's the right and left method I just showed. And there you go. That's it. So there is your basic tour as far as our system goes here. Now, Fedora itself, as far as pre-installed software, it's fairly light. I installed Bluefish Editor, I installed FileZilla, I installed Blue Recorder, and I installed GPU Screen Recorder. Now, let's go ahead and talk about installing software first. They have the software, the Gnome Software Center over here. This is probably, I have the biggest love-hate relationship with this thing. I absolutely hate it, but it's functional for the most part. And I will say, for the most part, I was having issues with it all day. Inside of your software repositories, you can come in here and turn on or turn off different repos. One of the things that's really nice is the third-party repositories is something you can enable during the installation. So that's something that is fairly new. I turned off the NVIDIA. Let me go ahead and turn off the Google one as well. So you do have to enter your password to make any changes to that repository. But there is our software sources, and under our preferences, we can either automatically check for and download updates, or we can do manually check and downloaded updates. Of course, the automatic is like Windows, so it's going to download everything and then prompt you, oh, you want to shut your computer down? Ha ha ha! No, you're not. We're installing updates first. And one of the things, unlike Plasma, which has this as an option, Plasma, you can completely disable that and install all of your updates without having to shut everything down. Gnome seems to be getting rid of that, at least in the GUI. So when I first saw that was my only option, I actually booted up the terminal and did my sudo DNF upgrade to upgrade my system instead of utilizing the GUI, because I'm not playing Windows game. You need to stop doing that. We also have the option here to show only the free software. So this is not like money free, but what is proprietary and what is not. So only open source. So if you toggle this on, you will only see open source applications. Toggle it off, you will see everything. And then you can show only verified developers or not only verified developers. So those are nice options as well. And you can search for any application. Let's just go ahead and look for Audacity. It's one of the things I usually search for. So when you search for something here, here's Audacity. And we have the option, of course, right here. This is cancel. Right here, it defaults to want to install the Flatpak. And there's a Flatpak from Fedora. There's a Flatpak from FlatHub. And there is an RPM. All right, so explaining the difference, the RPM is more of your repository software. That is the stuff I tend to prefer. It takes a whole lot less time to install. They tend to be a lot faster. They take a lot less space, but it may not have as many of the updates. Now, Fedora had a controversy was it a year or so ago, I guess, with the Flatpak. I think it was related to OBS, where they requested them to take their OBS application out of their Flatpak, their own Fedora Flatpak registry. And the reason is that there were some bugs in there that they were not addressing, and it resulted in a bad experience with the application. And so they requested the deletion. And then this raised a question: when we have multiple different applications, why does Fedora want you to use their Flatpak version instead of FlatHub's Flatpak version, which most people would consider the FlatHub might be the better way to go, especially if you're a verified developer and uploading the code yourself to FlatHub. That was a controversy, and won't say much more about it, but you'll see it wants to default to the Fedora one. And there is the FlatHub option or the RPM. I tend to prefer the RPM versions. We're not going to install it right now, but just to see how that works, you can get a listing of all of your updates over here. We have some system updates over here, and it does want to do some secure boot firmware type stuff. I do not want that to touch this computer, since this computer is really one of my Linux Mint production systems that just running on an external SSD. All right, so there is your software installation. Let's go through the settings panel here. I'll go ahead and get rid of that and maximize this. So here is, they did add the donation button over here in the About. I am in support of this. I am not in support of the notification, even though I do admit that, yes, it will probably cause them to get more donations. The problem is the notification system is there to give you a notification about something going on your system. It's not a call. It's not a beg. It's not a, hey, come help me out. Hey, set up OneDrive. How long before we see Fedora giving us notification about setting up OneDrive? Get over it, dude. All right, as far as Wi-Fi, I didn't have any major issues here. You'll notice I have two of these here. I did have my network crash. I can't say that's directly related to Fedora, because that might do it. I don't know, every 3 months or so. My wireless crashes. Why it couldn't reconnect to the original one and I need a second one, that is a different question, but whatever. I don't care. It works, and it did crash, and I'm not sure that's specifically because of this system. I did not test out, I guess in my initial installation, I was doing it on a hardwire. Bluetooth works just fine. So like any other system, if I turn off Bluetooth, it will not automatically reconnect to a device if that device is turned on. But if Bluetooth is turned on and I turn on a device, then you'll see it will automatically connect. And if we go and check our volume settings, you'll see it automatically moves our volume settings over. Now, one of the things I found that was a limitation, however, is that on Linux Mint, I can set something as a trusted device, which means it has a pair connection, so I don't have to go through any pairing in, setup. But there's an option that says I can either automatically connect it or I have to manually connect it. I don't have that option here, so if something has been paired, it will automatically connect if it turns on. That might be inconvenient for you if you have one particular device used across multiple different devices or multiple different computers or things, then that could be a problem, but at the same time, it does otherwise work. I have no idea what HT is. I think this is something on the computer itself. This HT does not show up on any other device I have, and I am literally in a desert. The nearest thing from me that is remotely close to civilization is a barn that has fallen down about 2 miles down the road. So unless some alien has some Bluetooth device floating around, I have no earthly idea what that HT is, and nothing connects to it. Didn't have any issues with displays. You'll see we're mirrored. That's because I'm mirroring this on my capture card to capture it. Didn't have any issues with over there. And as far as our sound settings, our output device, you can see it automatically goes to our Bluetooth speaker. Of course, if I turn that on, it jumps up to the speaker system here. And then I also have the HDMI ports available as well. As far as testing out the audio, it does work. I downloaded, just for testing purposes, I downloaded a sermon over here, and it will play just fine. Let me play that. I'm going to switch the output device over to here. Oh, actually, yeah, that's not going to work right now because the way my setting is. So, yeah, that's working. Everything's working there. I hate this new audio player they gave us in Gnome. I don't know, was it last year? I think they added that thing in. It's crappy, doesn't have any... Whoop, didn't mean to close that down. Crappy audio player doesn't allow playlists or things like that. As far as our power options, we do have a performance option, we have a balanced option, and we have a power saver option. I don't know why, but when I click power saver, it tells us performance mode is temporarily disabled due to high operating temperature. So it doesn't tell me that over here, just if I'm here. So here to here, no problem. Here to here, I get the notification. No idea what's going on. As far as power consumption, though, you'll see it says 2 hours and 45 minutes left. I've been running this computer for maybe an hour on battery. It's at 62%, which means that this thing will have a maximum capacity about 4 hours, which is actually pretty low because on Linux Mint, this computer lasts about 6 or 7 hours on a battery charge. And so I'm not sure if that's because of the extra system processing. Probably is, because what I did notice in my tests is that the performance, this thing takes a lot of system resources. It's sitting here at 13 gigs. We have nothing open but the settings panel here, and of course the system monitor. However, what I am seeing here is I'm seeing a lot of Firefox instances here. I'm seeing the Gnome Software Center is still booted, taking the most memory of everything in the system. The calendar is open here. So now these are all things that I tested earlier on, but I figure I closed the calendar, it might stop, but it didn't. Gnome Software Center, we closed it. It didn't seem to stop. Firefox, I've closed it. It didn't seem to stop. So I'm not sure if this thing's just not dropping applications. I don't know. But we are on balance. It is giving us, about 3 or 4 hours of battery power. Basic multitasking, there's a hot corner set up, and then our active screen edges are set up as well. These are let me grab that. Those are your active screen edges there. And so then, of course, we can do our dynamic workspaces and things like that. As far as your appearance, you can go light or dark, which has a nice toggle mode over here as well, right in the settings panel. So that's nice. And then you can choose your accent colors as well. So we'll go ahead and change all that. And then we can do our background, set our background changes. And so you'll see that some of these will have, actually it looks like many of these will have different backgrounds depending on if you are in light mode or if you are in dark mode. It will slightly change the wallpaper. So let's go ahead and switch to that one. And I will show you what we're doing here. Let me go ahead and close that. So you'll just notice as we change our styles, it will change the wallpaper out. So that's nice. All right. Here's her applications. This is where you can tune some permissions, notifications. I do want to talk online accounts. I did test this before I started recording, just for privacy of my Nextcloud server, but I went ahead and added my Nextcloud server in here, log in, and then this allows me to sync my calendars, my contacts, and my files. And the way that worked is the contacts app, all the contacts in my Nextcloud showed up. There's also a calendar app somewhere. Is it? I have no idea where that calendar app is. Am I just not seeing it? It is here. I mean, if I search for it, it is here. I'm just not seeing it in my listing here. But the calendar will also work. Every calendar appointment I had on that Nextcloud server worked. That was good. And inside of your files, you had an extra bar over here, and you could, just like anything else, like this is actually my network share server right now. I click in over here and I can access all of the individual files. So there's how that works. So that works out quite nice. New well-being stuff. We talked about that in a separate video. So as far as the system on this particular computer with 16 gigs of RAM and an i7 processor, despite the system seems very heavy on system resources, it is moving along quite nicely. And I'm not noticing any lag, any problems, any issues. So as far as how the system works, overall, it is a nice system. Fedora is definitely returning itself back to a system that is a lot more user-friendly, particularly for people that like this type of interface, like the type of design look of it and things like that. Now, Fedora does have the ability to upgrade from older versions to newer versions. However, that requires update scripts. You do it in the terminal. There's no GUI way to do that. And there is a little caveat from older versions to the newer versions. The newer version of Fedora, this one has a larger boot sector. And so if you are looking at future-proofing your computer, it might be better for you to do a clean install of 43 to take advantage of that bigger boot sector. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with a smaller one, which was 1 gigabyte. The new one is 2 gigabytes. And so that is it. As far as my general take on it, I'm not a Gnome user unless I have to be. So one of the major things I hate about it is you don't have the minimize windows. And I actually went, because I couldn't remember exactly what the key was to minimize a window, because the other places I use this all actually has the minimize windows put in there. So I go to look it up and people are saying, well, close the application if you don't need it anymore. It's like, what the hell is this? The Apple forum? You know, it's like, I'm asking how to minimize a window. Don't tell me to close the application or move it to another workspace or blah, blah, blah. One person's kind enough. Yeah, hold your windows, hit H, and that is how you minimize a key over here on Fedora, because it's running your vanilla Gnome. It doesn't have that minimize button. You can, of course, go into your software center over here and you can install the tweaks tool. And I'd probably recommend most people, if you want to take advantage of some extra functionality, you might go ahead and install the tweak tool, because this is going to give you the ability to do that. Let me just kind of show you what that looks like here. Okay, so it looks like it is installed. So here's your tweak tool, and oh, the extensions have moved. Okay, wonderful. All right, so here's a middle click and paste. There's touchpad stuff, and here's your windows. Here you can double click. Middle click does none. So you can set your middle click to minimize. So if you want to do that, and then title bar buttons, your maximize and your minimize title buttons, and then you can put them on the left or on the right. And that's actually what I would do if I were using this long term, because the lack of the minimize, maximize buttons would absolutely drive me mad. So there's your quick fix to that. As far as my overall experience here with Fedora, overall, this is a good system. It's not horrible. It is not my particular cup of tea, particularly with Gnome, but it is a functional system. It is a modern system. And I think particularly a lot of younger people that are more experienced, these giant pills and big giant interfaces and bubbles and stuff will probably feel more at home on this than on my favorite Linux Mint, but this is still a very good option for you to try out. And I would encourage you to have a look at it if you're looking at wanting to get more experience with Linux distributions, this certainly is a good one. I guess maybe let's mention one more thing here before we leave, and that is going into the terminal. If you want to do system upgrades and you want to learn how to do things, most of the videos and things that I use are using an apt system. So I would do like a sudo apt update, and that would update the repositories. Fedora uses DNF, and it's a little bit simpler in some ways. So it's sudo DNF upgrade. This is all you need to do to run a full system upgrade. Like not 42 to 43, but to run basically update any of your software there. So these are all the things that would like to upgrade from yesterday. It says it's only 15 megabytes, so sure, let's go and do that. And then of course the installation is super simple as well. You would just do sudo install, sudo DNF install, and then the name of your package. So there you go. It's just running our applications. Now, if you do your upgrades this way, you do not have to reboot your system right away. Be recommended to reboot it as soon as you can, but that's the option. So let's go ahead and do a sudo DNF install. Let's do evolution, which is my favorite email client. This used to be installed on Fedora by default. So you can see here it's installing the various packages. I need to grab 12 megabytes worth of stuff, so let's go ahead and just do that. So it's going to go online, grab all of those packages that we need, and you can see how quick the terminal is, and it is a nice, easy system. And then, of course, if you need to remove something, you just do the sudo DNF remove, and that way you have the ability to manage it, especially if you hate the GNOME software store like I do. It's a nice and a better option. So if I need to reboot my system, it's just a simple matter of reboot, and we will do that as we say. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.